Welcome to the Beyond Babylon podcast, where we delve into the pressing realities of the Near East. This episode takes us into the burning heart of a rapidly warming world, focusing on the increasing temperatures in the Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) countries amidst a global climate change. As the GCC grapples with escalating temperatures surpassing human tolerance, we explore the implications of climate change in this already sweltering region. From discussions at international climate change conferences to proactive initiatives on renewable energy and sustainable urban development, we explore the actions taken to combat this impending catastrophe. So join us as we navigate this crucial issue and its impacts on the GCC countries. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get started. Every day, my friend, who resides in East Saudi Arabia, sends me weather updates from her area. The temperatures there have been soaring to unprecedented levels, reaching a scorching 122 degrees Fahrenheit, 50 degrees Celsius. While we share lighthearted memes about frying eggs on car hoods and exchange advice on protection from the scorching sun, heat, and humidity, we do recognize that these conditions are only going to get worse. On July 17, the Gulf International Airport in Iran reported an astonishing heat index of 152 degrees Fahrenheit, 66.7 degrees Celsius at noon, accompanied by suffocating humidity with a dew point of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. These extreme weather conditions occurred in the Persian Gulf, which is known as the hottest sea on Earth. Such circumstances pose significant risks to all living beings in the area. It is noteworthy that the highest recorded heat index ever registered was 178 degrees Fahrenheit, 81 degrees Celsius in Dhahran, situated in East Saudi Arabia on the Persian Gulf back in 2003. These temperatures surpass the ability of the human body to cool off by sweating. In the absence of air conditioning, fans, or shade, the human body relies solely on its internal cooling system to endure high temperatures. The body can dissipate some heat through convection and radiation, but these methods are only effective when the surrounding air is cooler than the body's temperature. When faced with elevated temperatures, sweating becomes the primary means of cooling down. Through perspiration, heat is transferred from the body to the surrounding air as the sweat evaporates, transforming from a liquid to a vapor. But even this mechanism has its constraints and can only provide limited relief. In fact, between the 3rd and the 10th of July, the world encountered the hottest week ever recorded in 120,000 years. Meteorologists say there is a lot more to come. The level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is increasing. Climate change is out of control, warned the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. He added, "If we persist in delaying key measures that are needed, I think we are moving into a catastrophic situation." Located in one of the hottest regions in the world, the Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) countries, which include Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates (UAE), face their own share of challenges regarding climate change and extreme weather conditions. If substantial measures to mitigate global carbon emissions and the greenhouse effect are not implemented, the escalating temperatures resulting from human-induced climate change will render the coastal regions of the Gulf Cooperation Council uninhabitable for humans in the foreseeable future. Therefore, future Conference of the Parties (COP) meetings hold significant importance, mainly the upcoming COP28, which will be held in Dubai, UAE on November 30 of this year. During COP meetings, Representatives from diverse nations convene to discuss and negotiate international climate change agreements under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. These annual gatherings play a crucial role in addressing global climate challenges and fostering collaboration among countries. The Paris Agreement, COP21, is considered a landmark in the multilateral climate change process, as it resulted in a binding agreement between 196 parties to combat climate change and adapt to its effect. In order to mitigate the severity of the crisis effects, it's essential to restrict global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, in line with the commitment made in the Paris Agreement to diminish the emission of greenhouse gases, which are the key contributors to climate change. Most GCC countries face numerous risks resulting from the rapidly shifting conditions caused by climate change. Risks include endangering food security due to elongated droughts, exacerbating migration from neighboring countries to the GCC, and could trigger migration from the GCC itself. Of course, predictions might entail uncertainties, but according to researchers, uncertainties for the Middle East region, which includes the GCC countries, are minor. The researchers conducted a comprehensive examination of the model calculations, including simulations of temperature development in the Middle East and North Africa from 1986 to 2005. The results showed an impressive level of accuracy in reproducing the actual temperature patterns during that period. According to research by Germany's Max Planck Institute, cities in the Middle East will become uninhabitable by the turn of the century. The region is experiencing a warming rate twice as fast as the global average, and by 2050, it is projected to be 4 degrees Celsius warmer. This stark contrast highlights the urgency of the situation. The region, shattered by conflict and severely fragmented by sectarian differences, is unprepared to tackle these challenges that present an existential threat. While researchers predict that the vulnerabilities of people in the GCC are lower than other countries in the region, it is crucial to recognize that if man-made climate change activities continue to release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, the effects will spare no one. All GCC countries will need to take strong action to adapt to these climate risks and to mitigate their contribution to global warming. The actual impacts of climate change will depend on a range of factors. This includes the extent of global efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and the success of local adaptation efforts. But global efforts continue to fall short of the prescribed agenda to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The 2023 Climate Change Performance Index, a scoring framework that aims to promote greater transparency in global climate policies, rated China, Russia, the US, and Saudi Arabia as some of the countries with the highest greenhouse gas emissions, while Iran falls last as the lowest in climate performance and absence of an adequate climate policy. The GCC countries are actively implementing and planning initiatives to address climate change. Renewable energy is a priority with significant projects underway in the region. The UAE hosts the Noor Abu Dhabi, one of the world's largest solar power plants. Saudi Arabia is working on The Line, a zero-car city under the NEOM initiative, aiming for a carbon-neutral footprint. Energy efficiency is another area of focus. Saudi Arabia's energy efficiency program targets industry, construction, and transportation sectors to enhance energy efficiency and lower demand. In the realm of carbon capture and storage, CCS, The UAE is leading with the Ariada project, the first commercial-scale CCS facility linked to a steel production site. It injects the captured CO2 into oil fields for enhanced oil recovery while storing CO2 safely underground. Sustainable urban development is also being prioritized. Qatar's Lusail City and UAE's Masdar City are designed with energy efficiency, waste management, and local ecology in mind, serving as models for sustainable urban living. National climate change plans are being formulated and implemented. The UAE's National Climate Change Plan 2017-2050 provides a roadmap to economic growth, carbon footprint reduction, and climate adaptation. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 and the National Transformation Program similarly embed ambitious sustainability goals. Commitments to international climate agreements are also noteworthy. All GCC countries are signatories in the Paris Agreement with outlined nationally determined contributions. In the context of the Paris Agreement, each participating country is required to submit its climate action plan, known as the Nationally Determined Contributions. These NDCs outline the country's intended actions and targets to address climate change and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. For example, the UAE aims to source 50% of its energy from clean sources by 2050. Green building practices are gaining momentum in the region, with initiatives like Abu Dhabi's Istidama, Qatar's Global Sustainability Assessment System, and Saudi Arabia's regulations promoting sustainable construction. Because of the region's water scarcity, investments are being made in water-saving technologies, efficient irrigation, and energy-efficient desalination processes. Although there is much more to accomplish, the ongoing efforts by GCC countries represent significant strides toward mitigating the impacts of climate change. Their journey thus far serves as a promising start towards a more sustainable and climate-resilient future. Given the GCC's extensive oil and gas infrastructure, they could effectively develop and implement carbon capture and storage technologies. By capturing carbon dioxide emissions from power plants and storing them underground, these technologies prevent further contributions to global warming. Adapting to climate change implications also requires improved water management. Measures may include reducing water usage, increasing water use efficiency in agriculture, wastewater recycling, and water demand management. The role of policy and regulatory frameworks cannot be overstated. Implementing robust policies and regulations can fuel the transition to a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy. This involves setting ambitious emission reduction targets, implementing carbon pricing mechanisms, incentivizing renewable energy and energy efficiency, and incorporating climate change considerations in all aspects of policymaking. In addition to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and adapting to climate change impacts, these strategies can unlock new economic opportunities and improve public health and environmental quality for GCC countries. The path ahead requires a balance of rigorous effort, global collaboration, technology, and significant policy reforms. Above all, the realization must prevail that our actions today will determine the future of our planet and the generations to come. In the end, the fight against climate change is not just a technical or economic challenge. It's also a test of our ability to cooperate, innovate, and adapt on a global scale. Like all nations, the GCC countries have a crucial part to play in this grand endeavor. With this, I'd like to thank all our listeners for tuning in to this episode of Beyond Babylon. I hope it has enlightened you on the pressing issues we face and inspired you to take action, no matter how small. We'll return in our next episode to explore more untold stories from the Near East. Until then, this is Nisan, your host, signing off. Stay informed, stay safe, and stay inspired.